Hey everybody, welcome back to another iiRcade Game Days. I'm your host, Michael, executive producer here at iiRcade. I hope my mic did not auto-adjust. I know it keeps going really loud every time at the very beginning and then it kind of calms itself down. I'm trying to fix that right now too. I'm not a sound producer. I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best here. Happy Friday, everybody. 2 new games on the store today we'll talk about. So we'll actually show off a little bit of Multiverse, which is another ColecoVision homebrew. However, this one's a little bit different than the other two. This one's very kind of NES classic style, right? But beyond that, we'll show off gameplay because it is a little bit not deceptive from the trailer, but it is a lot better, honestly, than what the trailer usually provides, right? So we'll talk about gameplay in that, along with something that's been sitting in my office for a long time now that's been waiting to get fixes, and they're finally in and now available on the system is Asuka and Asuka, not a Shura Blaster, Asuka and Asuka. So another shooter from, oh my gosh, from Visco Pixel Heart on that one. So there you go. Available in the store right now too with leaderboards, but we'll talk about that in a little bit too. All right. Happy Friday again, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I have my tea today. Let me see what's going on in my chat here. Anything? No? Okay, we're good. Okay, we'll talk about it later. We'll do questions and things later on too. We'll jump right into games, honestly, too. And then I got some other stuff coming up for you. Not too much today, though, too. Coming back from last week. I was not here, unfortunately, last week. So it happens sometimes. It's how it goes, right? So life is life. We don't do a stream every week right now. So that's how it goes. So don't expect one every week necessarily. I'm a kind of busy guy right now, unfortunately, especially this time of year. So things come up. But beyond that, personal issues happen outside of work too. So I got to take care of those sometimes too, right? So I do have a life, sadly enough. I know, right? So here we are. I know. No light guns this week either. I know. We'll get to that as well too later on. Don't you worry. I'm sure I'm going to see so much about that in my chat right now. So all right, let's talk about first. Let's show off a little bit of Asuka and Asuka. We'll jump into that one first. So that's our new shooter for the day, our new shoot 'em up. So this one does have global leaderboards. It does not have online. So a couple different reasons for that. Mainly the fact that online play for this game, specifically around that part, if you play it, between the levels in Asuka and Asuka, you'll see that it speeds up really rapidly and kind of flows through the level really quick. And then some enemies spawn and stuff like that too. It's an intermediary stage between boss fights to the next stage, essentially. That part does not bode well for online right now. So unfortunately, due to that, we didn't have time to add that in currently for this title, but maybe on down the road, we'll add on online for this. Just currently not today too. However, it's more of a local co-op game anyway too. Plus, it's more of a one-player game in my opinion. However, it is, it's a shoot 'em up, right? So here you go. But if you have not familiarized yourself with Asuka and Asuka, I keep trying to say Shura Blaster, Asuka and Asuka, here is the trailer for you to show it off a little bit. Pull that one up for you. All right, here we go. All right, there you go. So that is not a Shura Blaster. Wow, Asuka and Asuka. We do have a Shura Blaster licensed as well too. Maybe for release soon. We'll see on that one too. That one used to be given out as prizes for different tournament stuff. However, this is Asuka and Asuka. Asuka and Asuka is a 1988 game from originally Taito actually too. However, it's owned now by Visco Pixel Heart is who that one's licensed from. So this is another Visco Pixel Heart game for us. So Taito's all removed from there. But yeah, Taito originally does have a version of this game as well. This is the arcade version of the game as usual for us, right? So this is not any of the ports that went onto other consoles and things like that. This is the arcade version. I believe it had 2 other ports to console. Don't quote me on that one though too. I don't know my history quite on this one as much. It's generally speaking a pretty basic but awesome shoot 'em up, right? So it does have, as the title states, dinosaurs, right? So it's just a kooky, funny game in that way too. It's great. Your first level is kind of like a normal kind of like shooter level where it's, your basic kind of ground coverage and things, tanks and stuff shooting up at you. Second level, however, you just go prime evil on everything. And it's Got, T-Rexes and everything else that comes in between two pterodactyls and stuff coming at you. The second stage boss is that Hydra that you might see in the attract mode today too. I love that boss. This game is brutal. If you're ever trying to one-quarter this game, I don't even think it's possible, honestly. It's just not designed that way. This game is absolutely designed as a quarter muncher back in the day for arcades, and it truly is that, right? So it does have a global leaderboard attached to this game. However, it's a game much like Raston, so the score continues on after you continue progress. So it's more of a time trial in that, or not a time trial as much as it is more of just an endurance trial at that point for the leaderboard. So leaderboard for this game, however, it's not as much of a thing for this game, I would say. However, if you are doing one-quarter runs, good luck. I think I've gotten to 51,000 on a one-quarter so far, so have fun with that. That's like stage 2, and it's not fun. I tried this morning, and I tried last weekend, so it was fun. But it's a great game. Check it out today. If you're looking for more shoot-'em-ups, this is a good one. It's not quite the level of something like a Truxton and stuff, but it is still very much, it's got its own charm, and especially, I'm telling you, with the different characters and dinosaurs and stuff in this game, it's fun. So it's a good time. $7.99 on the store today, right now. All right. Yeah, now you got to shoot a T-Rex. That's right, Goofy. T-Rex in that game, yeah. Very first thing in the dinosaur level, of course, they put is a T-Rex, I believe. So it's great. Let me see here. My iiRcade behind me is not. Yeah, sorry, Bobby. Yeah, they're not on today. I forgot to turn them on. It's okay. I just forgot to turn them on. I jammed in here really quick after a meeting or after editing some stuff, and that's how it goes sometimes, right? Ill prepared all the time, right? I'm a very busy guy again, so a lot going on. Any questions on Asuka and Asuka? Pretty sure it's actually called that in Japan as well, too. That is the Japanese naming, is Asuka and Asuka as well. Not to be confused with, oh my gosh, I forget the old anime, but yes, not related. Yeah, stage 5 boss. Yeah, this game is tough as nails, I can tell you that. As somebody who likes shoot 'em ups a lot and likes tough as nails shoot 'em ups, this one is absolutely designed to eat quarters back in the day, 100%. See here. What else? Any other questions on this? Very few have a Sure Blaster. Yeah, I know. I know this, Casey. I actually looked into that for this week potentially too, where that game's at. But we actually had fixes just in time for Asuka and Asuka that kind of came through right in the nick of time. So I didn't really plan on releasing this today. However, it was able and ready, so I said, why not? Let's go. We'll get to a Sure Blaster at some point though too. Yeah, very good shoot 'em up as well too. Any other questions though on Asuka and Asuka? If not, we can move on. There's not too much to talk about on Asuka and Asuka, honestly. It's a pretty straightforward shoot 'em up. It's just got its own quirky charms and stuff too. So if you are into it, have fun, have at it. Let's see here. Is there something hidden? No, there's nothing hidden. I mean, technically speaking, that one has Operation Wolf on it. Beyond that, but we've shown me shooting on that cab before, so that's how it goes. Now, I literally just forgot to turn on my machines behind me today. It's okay. All right. Let me see the new, no new UI yet. All right. Beyond that, let's get to the next game, right? So this is a game that a lot of you might look at it and be like, it's not really for me. But a lot of you enjoy like really old school like NES games too, not just Coleco, but like NES especially like dungeon puzzle crawlers, right? Like a original Zelda-esque type of game and stuff like that too. I wouldn't necessarily compare this to Zelda by a long shot. However, it is that sort of game, I would say too. This is an action sort of puzzle game. You swap between two different characters in Multiverse. So you use both the boy, and the dog as well too. I forget their names. We'll see in a second here when I put it on screen. So I will throw that up right now for you on screen. Let me know if you guys can still hear me after this too. We'll shuffle a little bit of gameplay here. I'll add this to my stream, and I'm going to go over this way. So let me know if there's audio issues and stuff. If I need to turn the game down, I will check the chat, but I'm going to go move over here real quick to play at this machine. I rearranged myself a little bit. All right, here we go. So I'm actually in game right now too. So this is where you're going to start in the game right here. So your main character moving about here. You can jump and shoot. It is very much a jump and shoot man, just like Mega Man. Collect those hearts. You can see that little meter on the bottom. That's currently it's my slingshot. However, the slingshot you can actually change through different weapons in this game too. You'll notice too, so the boy right here, he can't quite make this jump. Well, he can make this jump. I'm just staring at the screen. Can't quite make this jump. So the boy character can actually jump 3 spaces up, whereas the dog character can jump 3 spaces forward and 2 spaces up. So you have to switch between the characters. We'll get to that here in just a second. So I'm going to go up here. It's back. Yeah, this is another fun little homebrew Coleco. I like this one a lot. So you can see this switch right here, pulling down on the lever, and I can unlock that. I'm gonna go over here real quick actually too. So, I've hit a blocked wall, right? So you get to this point, you get kind of frustrated because you don't know what to do. Open the menu, select your paladin right here. So right now we're playing as Monty, and if I press down, I'm going to play as Nice Moon. So now I'm playing as the dog. So you can see I'm a lot faster here too. You cannot attack as the dog, at least not where I'm at right now. But he jumps a lot farther. If I can make this jump on the first go. All right, there we go. So now I can switch open this wall above me. So there we go. So now it's open for my other player character. However, I'm going to move over here. Do some deeper level progress. Oh, nope, I'm stuck again here, right? So switch characters. So you're going to do a lot of back and forth. There's other weapons and other portal types and things like that in this game as well, too, as you progress on. This is just like the very basic stages of it, right? Get rid of this bat out of my way. Too many bats. Oh. Yeah, water can hurt you on the ground, too. Keep that in mind. All right. So I'm just opening that. We'll switch up, too. I'm going to progress on a little bit more. Bunch of different enemy types and things in this game too, of course. All right, we're not going to go up that way, but I am going to switch back to Nice Moon. The Nice Moon can now go up here if I can ever make this jump. There we go. So this game, especially right now, it's not too bad because I know what I'm doing. However, the complexity later on in this game gets pretty intense. The puzzles get absolutely more and more absurd as you go on. Challenging in a great way. So if you're looking for a puzzler challenge, this is definitely the kind of game for you. Let's go this way a little bit here. Jump up like that. There we go. So Nice Moon also cannot climb ladders, so that's always good to know. Another chest here that I can't open quite yet. Oh, switching is forbidden. There we go. Can't always switch depending on where you're standing, where your placement of your character is. Let's go this way. Let's kill this evil bunny. All right. You can see this is actually where Nice Moon is right now, my dog. So this is actually my other player character right here. You can see them on the board visually that way. Gotta open that chest though, right? So to open the chest. Oh no. You have to hit these little orbs right here, right? So these open the different portals, and then I can go back. Oh no, which is forbidden at the moment. I gotta drop down a little bit. There we go. There we go. So now I've opened a portal up for Nice Moon that he can use. This way, there it is. That's the switch I wanted. All right. Let's see if I can get my other weapon. So now that I've opened up that other switch, I should be able to switch my weapon at some point here. Whoops. That's okay. I'll keep dropping down. There it is. So right now I've got the slingshot, so I can just simply shoot straight forward. This is a different weapon here that I've just switched to, so you can see it drops balls pretty much, so they go on the ground only. So it depends on where you're at in the game. Different weapon types will do different things, get you through different scenarios, of course. That's kind of the difference of gameplay here, too. It's great. So I'll actually move on from this. I'm going to come back over here. All right. And I will take this off the screen real quick. There we go. So, yeah. So this is Multiverse, right? At a basic level, it's Multiverse, right? This game gets so much more complex afterwards later in the game, of course. This is just the very intro levels of it, right? So this game has a lot of gameplay, a lot of different puzzles and things for you to solve. So if you're a big puzzle person, then definitely check this one out. Highly encourage it, especially if you're not just a ColecoVision fan, but like the old school NES kind of games too. The soundtrack's really cool too. I really like the switching between characters, changes your background music and things, of course. Different levels and stages later on too. So there you go. Play through the story as you try to, I believe, save your father. Wow, I forget the story now in my mind. I had it written down. around. I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere. But yes, there is a plot to this game too. Let me see. I think, yeah, so Multiverse is $4.99, available on the store today, right now. And yep, it's a homebrew Coleco, so technically speaking, this is a Coleco port, right? So let me see here. All right, let me scroll back up. Any questions on Multiverse that I can answer? Yeah, don't sleep on Multiverse. It's a pretty cool little game. Let me see here. All right, now I got to go all the way after my chat. How does the new, Papa Brad's asking, how does the new game compare to Princess Quest? Multiverse is just a very different game compared to Princess Quest. Princess Quest, the control feels a little bit, the controls for Princess Quest are designed very, very Coleco-esque, right? Gameplay for Multiverse, however, is more of a newer age, right? So again, I would compare it more to Nintendo than Coleco, even though it is a ColecoVision game nowadays. It is very much, it's a smoother kind of type of gameplay and movement, even though it is, again, so the main character can go 3 squares up and 2 squares over, but the dog can go 3 squares over and 2 squares up is how that works. And this gets you into different platforming scenarios as well as into different areas, right? On top of that, of course, opening all the different switches, using different weapons. Later on down the line too, you need the different weapons to open different doors or unlock different features or kill certain enemies, right? So as you progress through the story, continues on. And yeah, there you go. You got to unlock the secret yourself in Multiverse. You see here. All right. Other questions on Multiverse? Russell's saying, yeah, switching characters is a good puzzle mechanism. Yeah, I actually didn't even know how to switch characters at first when I first stepped in this game. Figured that one out pretty quick, though. Yeah, the different aspects of both characters, especially one being able to actually attack and jump, and the other one pretty much just moving really fast, gets into a lot of different variations of gameplay later on at the late game. Let's see, what else can I talk about on Multiverse? Music is super 8-bit retro. Yep, that is absolutely true. What else we got going on here? Anything else for Multiverse before we move on? We can talk about Multiverse all day. I actually really like this game. Not gonna lie, I actually played it a little bit a couple weeks ago too when we first actually got it, when we started testing this one. This is not a Warner Brothers game now. All right. All right, we can move on. That's good. Quick game days for me today. Anyway, as usual, I don't have much time per always. So it's actually, I would actually have done a pre-recorded show today. I just did not have time to do the pre-recorded show. Pre-recorded show actually takes me more time than like an hour length of live sometimes, right? So it's good to go. Otherwise, you know. All right. You just do that real quick. All right. Otherwise, other things going on. Let's see that we can talk about during game days, right? Because we haven't had a live in a while too, but we'll have a live pretty soon actually too. I know I mentioned 2 shows ago now, 2 weeks ago, that the update was very, very close. The update has been complete. We're still waiting on approval from developers and things for different features that are in there relating to games before I can release the update, right? So that's how that works. So I don't want to release the update and then have to make changes and then have to update again, essentially. So that's why we hold on to the updates a little bit longer. But things that are coming in this update, I can talk about. Let me see here too. I do have slides somewhere. There they are. Not quite sure where the rest of them went. So I'm going to jump in mid-slide here. We'll go here. Okay. All right. So system update 9.011.000 will be your next system update. I know some of you are not even on 9.10 right now. You're on 9.93. Right? So this will be an even bigger jump for you guys who are on the previous update before 9.10. Those of you who are on golds are 100% on 9.10, but not everybody is on that update currently because we pulled it down due to some differences with people coming from different older versions of the system update because they didn't keep them up to date. Shame. And it didn't update properly after that. We typically test all of these variants beforehand. However, sometimes not everything slips through the cracks when you're talking about going from a handful of testers to tens of thousands, right? It's much different every time. So beyond that, Yeah, you'll be jumping. So those of you on 993 will be jumping a lot higher to 911, and you'll be getting the different features that you've missed out on for the past few months now, for a while, actually. So it's great, actually. I'm glad to get everybody kind of back on the same page. This has been heavily tested, updating from, oh my gosh, every single version that you can possibly think of since the dawn of iiRcade. It's been good. So it's been fun for testing. So with that, let's get to the first 2 bullet points that I got showing here, right? So the improved connection between server and devices. This was actually drastically improved in 9.10. However, it's been improved even more so. We've taken a look even deeper so on the back end and improved it even more so on things. So people struggling potentially with downloads and things like that, this should help improve that, alleviate that a little bit. Number 2 here, updated 3-step game install process. So those of you on 9.10, at least you'll notice that when you install a game, it goes through a 3-step process to install. It does different verifications, things like that too. It just double checks all the files are proper. There's nothing corrupted or anything from the download, or it starts the download again, essentially is how that works out. So that's been improved again, even more so in this update. Other things coming in 9.11, online game auto updates enabled. So yeah, so currently, right, this was something that was planned from the start. It just didn't make it in time because there's a lot of complex systems on the back end that you guys don't have to deal with, that we have to deal with all the time. So with that, online enabling for games had to be done manually through the settings currently, right? So you go to settings and then you go to online game update, something like that. I forget what it's called specifically right now too, somewhere along those lines. Anyway, now, whenever you download a game from the store, if it has multiplayer, online multiplayer already enabled for that game too, it will automatically update to have that game online, right? So you don't have to go into anything. You don't have to ask me if it's online or anything too. It's right there beyond from the store listing that. You just download the game and it's already online. So you're good to go from there. So that's coming in this build as well. We've also got, of course, we mentioned this last time too, Warrior Blade Rastan Saga Episode 3. Difficulty is increased to hard because originally when this game released, sometime last year, not too long ago, 8 months, 10 months, somewhere around that range, right? Yeah, so it was a little too easy for people. So we got a lot of feedback on that game too, and we've upped it to hard now in the different settings. So there you go for this game too, adding more challenge to this game. It's great. I'm very excited for this one. Let me see here. Additional game fixes, of course, are always in, right? So additional game fixes are coming to this. Nothing that's too concerning that you guys will probably even notice, honestly. But additional backend fixes, of course, as well for us. Again, things that you won't notice that we notice, things that just improve over time, different features that we have to update and enable or allow us to add updates later on. So these are preemptive updates for ourselves, for us to get to in the next build as well, too, for next patches, subsequent patches after this. That's how that works. Welcome to development, right? That's how it goes, right? So nothing really crazy to mention there. Nothing that's going to stick out to you. Things that'll stick out to me, just not to you. So there you go. Different things there. And beyond that, of course, with this, we've talked about this a little bit too. Send and like and support will be in this update when it comes. However, keep in mind, grain of salt here too. Just because this update is released does not mean that exact day that you will get Operation Wolf. Just keep that in mind. So, but we do have to update before we can play Operation Wolf, 100%, right? So there you go. That is the updates that are coming that we can talk about right now, at least in this update. So there you go. Questions on any of that? Actually, I can leave that on screen for a little bit here. There you go. No, the update is not live today. This is just upcoming. So again, we just mentioned this. I just mentioned it a little while ago. Casey's asking. So no, this is not an update today. I have to wait until we have other developers looking at their games on the update itself for final approvals for those games. So once those go through, which is what we've been waiting on to release this update essentially, then it goes through, right? Because I don't want to have to update your system and then something comes back that we have to put a fix in for, and then I have to update you again, and then it goes back, and then we have to update again. That's a terrible time. Nobody wants that. It's a headache for everybody. So no one wants that. So we have to hold off on this. The update is ready and complete in its totality, except we're just waiting for all that stuff to come back to us before we can release this. So very soon still. Again, we've been saying this for weeks. I know it's been soon for a while now. I'm just waiting for other people to get back to me so that it's good to go. So, but the update itself is done. It's complete. It's been ready to go. So I'm ready to go, right? There you go. But yeah, so not live today. Can't really give you a time frame. Again, it's been every week. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So I can tell you it's next week, and I do believe it's next week, but I could be proven wrong again. So that's how it goes sometimes when it's out of my hands. All right, what else we got going on here? Warrior Blade's perfect right now? No. Look, everybody, okay, I wouldn't say everybody, but the vast majority of you were like, it's too easy. I can blow through this game in 20 minutes. I don't like it. All right, so we upped it. It's okay. If you had this game for a little while too, that's how it goes, right? So now you get a whole new difficulty to play on. It's great too. And eventually we'll probably put in dips of settings so that you can change that yourself as well and adjust. It's just not in there currently, right? So we've talked about that before. Future updates. Let's see here. Todd's asking a question I get asked a lot actually too with games that had leaderboards. Yeah, so there are many games, Todd's saying there are many games where the online leaderboard are not available anymore. Example, Doublings Arcade. Will updates fix that? No. So that's not due to the update. That's due to when we switched over to Leaderboards 2.0. It's up to the developers to kind of go back, revisit, and give us a new build for that game, essentially. Swapping over to, it's not a different server necessarily. It's how it communicates with the server is how it works out. So that's what happened with there, because now with the Leaderboards 2.0, we feed a lot more information to the server for sample checking for the scores and stuff itself, to getting your nicknames, things like that, to before some of these games were before that essentially too. But yeah, so we are retroactively working on that too with those developers. So yeah, so those do come into play. We've already updated actually a lot of them on the back end. I believe almost over 50 now in the past couple of months that have come through my office. It takes time a little bit on that stuff too. So bear with us on that. Again, it's up to the developers to sort of get us a build. We contact them and then it's kind of up to them. It's in their hands to get us a build to update again. So let's see here. Other things I can get to on this. Will there be DLCs for Dead Cells? I get asked this all the time. I cannot talk about anything related to DLCs on Dead Cells at this time. Or DLCs for their games, technically speaking. Grandson almost. I assume this is in lieu of Warrior Blade. Yeah, so Warrior Blade's been a pretty easy title. But it's a fun beat 'em up, right? So sometimes it's good to be easy too. However, we've heard the requests by the vast majority to increase the difficulty on that game, so that's what we're going to do for now. Let's see here. Other questions that I can talk about on this. Cannot give you a timeline on other features. No, cannot do that currently. You already get mad at me enough when I give you sort of loose timelines, and then I say it might not happen at that date. And then it doesn't happen on that date, and you get mad at me for it. So yeah, no timelines right now on other updates. Let me see here. Other things I can get to. Let's see if I missed anything in the chat too. I know I scrolled by a lot. I'm going to take this down for now as well. There we go. See, there are other questions up here that I missed. I'm sorry. I don't always see the questions in the chat too. Sometimes they just don't populate in the chat. I watch the stream a little bit afterwards too sometimes, and I see a lot of questions that I just don't get to because I literally don't visually see them sometimes. It's just the software that we use doesn't populate all the time too. Let's see here. Okay, I think that's pretty much it that I can see right now. Okay. Here's a great question that I actually don't get asked a lot. So Phantom Fiction's asking, any plans to possibly add other retro systems like the ColecoVision? Yeah, potentially later on too. That all comes through different things with like emulation software and stuff like that too, especially since we do run on an Android-based OS, we have to be sort of careful about the things that we do. It's a little trickier sometimes. Sometimes a lot of things exist for PC and it's a lot easier to adapt through PC or Linux. But since we're running on Androids, it's a little bit different to adapt sometimes. That's what our developers do in-house, right? Our systems engineers and things like that. Yeah, so our firmware engineers, yeah, that's up to them. But yeah, there's totally possibilities for that too. I can't announce anything right now. However, yeah, that's things that we look into all the time too, right? Maybe you want some NES ports, maybe you want some Sega Master Drive ports and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Master System, Master Drive. I think I said Master System the one time. It's Master Drive, Sega Master Drive. But yeah, those are things that we look into a lot. Yep. Or Dreamcast and things like that. I know you guys ask about that one all the time. But yeah, it's a great question. me see here. And get better software. No, that's not how that works. So let me explain to you how an operating system works. It literally controls the entire device. You can't just change that. It doesn't work that way. Why do we use Android? Because Android is open source. So we are allowed to adapt and modify it as we so choose. So Linux is sort of this way. It's just a little bit more complex than this. Well, I shouldn't say it's more complex. It's about the same, honestly. Just works very differently too. Something like Windows, right? We can't just run Windows on our machine. It doesn't work that way. We'd have to have like a commercial license for that. It's not really possible, honestly, even too, at that rate, or it's not legal, I should say. But for Android, it is open source. However, again, as we specify, our version of Android that we have, basically it's so modified and so recreated and so reconstructed at this point that is entirely different operating system than something you would see on like a mobile device or a tablet or even a PC. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy what we've done to the system, which is great. So we've tailored it for our own things like our proprietary controller systems that we use inside, how we manipulate the controls for different game types, stuff like that. That's all done through our firmware, our operating system. We do all that in-house. So it gives us a lot more control in the long run. So it's a pain in the start, right? It's always a pain to set up more to do it this way. However, in the long run, it's a much better system for us to use to do it ourselves. So it's kind of like anything. It's just, you can always jump through a lot of different hoops and stuff. You can always beat and jump through certain features and kind of bypass things if you use other people's stuff. However, it doesn't always work in the long run, right? Because when you're starting something from the ground up, basically, you can just adapt and manipulate it yourself, and you can understand it. You have a much deeper understanding of it. So when you get to really deep level stuff later on down the line too, really complex systems, then we can do it ourselves, which is great. That's the end goal there. Anyway, that's how operating systems and stuff kind of work for us. So there you go. All right, let's see here. Bluetooth gamepad support for ColecoVision games. Does a Bluetooth ColecoVision controller exist? I don't know, because in all honesty, it might work currently pretty much as is. But I don't know of one that exists. If there is one, sure, let me know. We can look into it. Depends. It depends if it needs drivers and things, right? So something like light guns, right? So light guns that we're using for Sinden, right? Those require drivers. We had to wait until those were open source on Android for us to even start tinkering with them ourselves, right? So that's kind of what that, and then we had to build that into our system, right? Taking drivers and building them into your systems is not just always like a PC where I can just install drivers, use my device. Doesn't always work that way. So yeah, keep that in mind. There's a lot of things that we do on the back end that you guys just don't see. You'll never see. It'll never come to light because there's no reason to show you, and there's no reason to even talk about it, honestly. It's things that we do that just make it work, right? Magic doesn't just happen. We have to make it happen. All right, other questions here. Goofy, if you're having a no-name issue, yeah, if you contacted us, we can fix that. You shouldn't have to do that for every game. No, depends on the game. If you're still talking about Wizard of Walls, that's a different issue entirely now. However, if it's other leaderboards and you're always popping up with no name, we should be able to change it once and it's done. If that's not happening, though, let me know. Because that is how it works in theory. That is how the code works on the back end. I've seen it myself. Whoa, first off, don't be spreading lies. They can't do DLC, folks. That's not true at all. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean that we can't do it. Doesn't mean that we can't either, right? I'll leave you in suspense on that one. You'll see, we will, if we ever do DLC, you'll know. You'll know. We technically did DLC for Retromania, but it works a little bit differently than a true DLC. Let me see here. We've shown off Light Gun before. I'm not going to show off Light Gun again right now, too. But yeah, it actually is on that Space Invaders right behind me. Wow. If I could ever point, there it is. Let me see here. Let's see, Tessa's asking, if you can change rest and difficulty, would it be possible to make some of the quarter munching shmups easier? So it is possible to win on one credit. Maybe. It all depends on the game. Every game is so different. We don't typically go in and just reprogram entire games. Yeah, we do sometimes. Not always, though. So really, that all depends on the game. Some games are a lot more finicky to try to crack open and reconfigure and stuff, especially the arcade games. So it's either usually a dip switch settings for difficulty, or if it doesn't have one, you can't really change it typically. Again, it varies drastically game to game. So there's no real good answer I can give you on that. But yeah, I do by and large, how we tool our games typically, we usually go towards the harder end is usually what we do. Warrior Blade Wrestling Episode 3 was a kind of anomaly for us. A game like we talked about Rage of the Dragons as well too. We're looking into downgrading that a little bit in difficulty, at least for the single player, right? So because it's pretty hard, right? You can beat the game. We've beaten the game ourselves. So it's possible, but I do understand that it is very difficult and it can be a little bit too frustrating for that game, right? So Rastin or Warrior Blade, Rastin Saga Episode 3, when you crank it up to hard difficulty, it doesn't become necessarily frustratingly difficult. However, a game like Rage of the Dragons might be a little bit too frustrating at the highest difficulty that it's on right now too. I believe it's on 8 is what it is out of 8. It's on 8 out of 8. But yeah, that all depends on the game. So, all right. With that, that's pretty much all I got to talk about today too. I think there's no other questions I can get to right now. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. No other questions. I'll take 3 more. Here, I'll say 3 more questions. I'll call it a day. It's been a half an hour already. I'm good. Let me see here. Backward Bob. Yeah, so this is a good one too that we're still working on. This is something that's sort of in the leaderboards, the next iteration of the leaderboards we're currently working on, right? So question, a few months ago, my high scores say I'm in Canada now. My ISP shows Minnesota. Not a huge deal. Just want to represent Minnesota. Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that one too. And we've seen some weird occurrences. It's that weird line up by the border sometimes, right? So Minnesota is a little bit up there where it's like sort of right. It's close enough to Canada that it doesn't like it for some reason when it looks at the IP address and stuff. We're working on that one a little bit too. Yeah. Yeah. Stay tuned on that one too. I know it's not a huge deal. But yeah, it's nice when it does list it properly for where you're from, right? So I feel you on that one. Something we're looking into. When will we see Zhang again? That's a great question. You'll see Zhang again probably when we fully let loose light guns is probably when it's going to happen, honestly. That's when I'll get him back on here. He's a busy man too. We're both real busy right now. All right. Any other questions that I can take before I call it a day? I got like 1 or 2 more. We're good. There is no release date for light guns. I see that just popped in my chat too. This is why I don't give hard dates right now, unless I know for a fact that it is good to go. All right. I think that's pretty much it. We're good. All right. We'll call it a day on that one too. All right. Stay tuned for more updates. I will probably be back here next week. We shall see. Hopefully I don't have to not be here again too. We'll see though. Let's see here. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, we'll call it a day on that. And check out Multiverse as well as Asuka and Asuka. Right now available on the store. And yeah, I hear on a Sure Blaster. Maybe we'll release that one to you. Maybe next week. We'll see. Because I know that one's still sitting in there. I know I want to look at some other things for Sure Blaster as well too. Anyway, with that, that's it. That's all I got for you. Nothing too crazy today. I know. Just talking about upcoming updates still. We will get there when we get there. So I know. Trust me. I want to release these things to you as bad as you want them. Trust me on that one. So without further ado, let me see what I can play you out with today. Let's play you out with, I'm going to play you out with one of my favorite trailers from this year so far, actually. We'll go back to something you can check out for free that you haven't yet, that I like playing a lot right now too, and I know people are still going at it. So have fun. I'm going to show off more of this right here. All right. Stay tuned for more updates and news next week. And happy Friday, everybody. Have a good weekend. I will see you all on the leaderboards when I have time again soon. Very soon, hopefully. And without further ado, here is more Satrin. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all hopefully next week, if not the week after.